Hi, everybody. It's Nikki Morrow with To the Moon and Back Behavioral Consulting, and my job is to make your lives as parents easier in the day to day. Today is our Thursday night live. I'm trying to do it every week for you all. And today's topic is true emotions versus manipulative behavior. So I know that the knee jerk reaction of parents, including myself, is to think that most of the behavior, the negative behavior or the over the top behavior that we experience is manipulative. It's our child trying to get on our nerves to get something that they want, get a reaction that they want. And I know a lot of times it really feels like that. It feels like they're pushing our buttons and they're trying to get us angry. And I'm here to kind of teach you how to distinguish between true emotions and the manipulative behavior, because bottom line is typically they are in fact true emotions. They are not manipulative behaviors. So I will also teach you how to go ahead and respond to support your child through these big emotions, these big behaviors, in the best way possible. So most of us have heard about the prefrontal cortex, and that is a part of our brain that is responsible for impulse control and rational thought and logic. And that part of the brain actually isn't fully developed until about the age of 25. So a lot of that is why, teenagers, we hear teenagers a lot being very irrational and making all these really off the wall choices and sometimes getting killed because of them, right? It's this kind of illogical, irrational type of behavior that occurs. Well, if you multiply that by about 1,000, then you get the mind of a toddler. So their brains are even like less developed in the prefrontal cortex as a teenager, and teenagers are still completely irrational. So I know that a lot of us can take a minute to think back to our adolescence and our young adulthood and really kind of realize and empathize that that was in fact what was going on. Is like we were making these kind of impulsive choices, these not so great choices and decisions for our long-term benefit, right? But it's not controllable. It's something that we all do and we all have to go through. And just taking that perspective and reminding ourselves of that at the beginning of these big behaviors, to this day, I still have to stop, take a deep breath, and remind myself, okay, my daughter is not capable of rationalizing and thinking logically like I am. This is not something that she is physiologically capable of. And thus, it's unfair of me to expect it. So if you take that perspective and you really try to look at them with more empathy and understanding, then it'll be a lot easier for you to nurture them and support them through these big feelings and these big emotions, rather than just getting frustrated and coming down on them for something they can't really control. So true emotions are those behaviors that, again, they're feeling these behaviors, and to us it might seem small, it might seem insignificant, but to them it's really like life or death. It's like their whole world crashes down because of the orange cup or the blue cup, right? So it's having that perspective that in fact these things are big to them. They're big deals to them. Their worlds are pretty small right now, pretty sheltered, and so any little pebble in the water is going to cause a huge ripple for them, possibly even a wave at times. So the way that I recommend handling those type of big feelings is by really stepping back and just taking on that role of support and empathizing with them, and trying to label emotions that you're seeing or label things that you're actually seeing physically rather than trying to necessarily interpret for them. Because a lot of times we tend to project our feelings and our histories onto our children, and we want to avoid that. So it's a matter of being able to gain that level of empathy and understanding for them. Now, if you have really, really little ones that are not really talking yet or have very few words, then you're going to want to be labeling the emotions for them. But really try to stay careful of labeling again what you're seeing, what you're actually seeing from them. And that would look like, oh, I see some tears coming down your face. When tears come down my face, that typically means that I'm sad. Are you feeling sad? So you're labeling the actual emotion, the word, and then you're pointing out something that's physiologically happening to them in their body so that they can start making that relationship, so that they can start learning how to label their own feelings and their own emotions in an appropriate way. So another tip with that, with really little ones or little ones that don't talk too much, is to maybe teach them the signs, teach them sign language for the big emotions like sad and angry and frustrated. And then that way, those signs, they have a lot more ability to access those signs rather than being able to articulate verbally what's going on with them in those heightened states of emotion. So that's one way also to be able to give them an outlet to express themselves in a functional, more appropriate way. So, another thing you can do is to ask your child if they need a hug, if they need or want a hug. Because a lot of times with the really little kids, they have a hard time self-regulating and controlling kind of these emotions in their body. Hello. And so it's a lot of times helpful for them to get deep pressure, even if it's not a hug, if it's just you pushing down on their shoulders or maybe pushing pressure on their head. You can kind of ask them what helps them or what feels good for them. Now, some kids may not like that. They may have an adverse reaction to that. So that's why I always suggest asking first, if they want a hug, if that would help them. Or ask them if there's any other way that you can help, calm their bodies or help them calm their bodies. And then you can support them that way. Then once emotions have calmed down, once everybody's calm, you guys can take a deep breath. Then that's when you can go ahead and approach the conversation and more the teachable moment of being able to talk to them about what happened, why did it happen, and what could we do better next time to prevent the situation from getting this far, or these emotions from getting so high. And just really having that conversation and those problem-solving steps. Because again, we're trying to build these and nurture these skills in our child. So if we're asking them questions now, those are going to be the same questions that they start asking themselves later when they're feeling upset or when something upsetting happens, to help prevent it or how to react next time. So those were true emotions. And next is manipulative behaviors. So again, this is typically the knee-jerk reaction of most parents, is to assume that it's just manipulative behavior. But like I said, true emotions are typically more of the case. So we meet those with empathy and understanding and some emotional support. But there are manipulative behaviors, right? Especially with toddlers and young children, there's going to be a manipulative behavior. And those are basically, tantrums, any type of negative behavior that occurs in order to get something that they want. And children are very intuitive. They pick up on their parents' weaknesses. They pick up on, who has a soft heart, who's going to cave, or if you tend to get really stressed out, they'll pick up on that too, of like, oh, like if I catch her when she's stressed out, I can get that because she's just too frustrated to deal with it, So they learn how to get what they want and how to behave in order to get what they want. So the important thing to do is to remember that behavior goes where reinforcement flows. So, kind of piggybacking off of last week's topic of the types and functions of behavior, that is how you're going to go ahead and gauge how to respond to these manipulative behaviors. And you're going to basically, distinguish the type and the function of the behavior, and whether that is task avoidant or attention seeking. And if you missed last week's video, then just go back and watch that, and you'll be able to see specifically what those are and how to categorize them. And then, so if your child's trying to get something, then you're going to want to make sure that you don't give it to them until they're asking for it in an appropriate manner, or they're complying with what you're asking them to do. Because again, ask yourself what you're reinforcing, and you always want to be reinforcing the behavior that you want and avoiding reinforcing the behavior that you don't want by giving them what they want. So if your child is trying to avoid a task, then you're going to want to make sure that you support them through the task. And I also went into more detail last week on this, of being able to shorten in time your request with their follow through. So you don't want them to get out of your request. Let's say you ask them to pick up the blocks. You're not going to want to ask them the first time, wait 30 minutes, ask them the second time, wait 20 minutes, and then get fed up and then say, why are you not picking up? You're going to want to make sure that you ask them, or you tell them, okay, it's time to clean up your toys, and then make sure that if they're lollygagging or whatever, that you're going to be, it looks like you need my support. You're not cleaning up your toys on your own, so I'm going to help your body, and we're going to clean up together. So that, again, you tighten in on the time or the duration in which they're able to kind of get out of complying with what you're asking them to do. So those are the big things. Later on, actually next week, I'm starting my How to Prevent Tantrums series. And in that, I'm going to be going over how you can respond, or how important it is to respond with predictability, consistency, and staying calm. So next week's topic is going to be, hold on one second, the importance of routines and schedules in preventing behavior. So again, our next series is going to focus on how do we prevent these tantrums and these behaviors from even happening in the first place. Yes, so thank you so much for watching. Tina Avila, Cali Mom. It's nice to see you, Tina. Thank you for showing up. That is the gist of this live video. I hope it was informative and helpful. And again, I want to invite everybody to join me in my proactive parenting group. If you guys are not part of it, you can go to my website at tothemoonparentcoaching.com and hit subscribe. You'll be added to my email list, and you will be able to get all my tips and strategies weekly in your email box, easy peasy, and you won't miss anything. So if you like this video, like it, share it, and otherwise I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for supporting and showing up. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye-bye.